But we might, but
That, on the other hand, is very doable.
Okay.
Right now. Yeah.
well, we can do that.
I need some 50s. I got a few leaves that need some attention out there. Not quite ready to slide into winter for good yet.
Just in case.
There we go.
He's gonna hit the light.
Oh, 1 minute left, I suppose. Are we gonna be able to see, the room there with Jason and?
Yes, you,
Okay.
yep, so in about 15 or 30 seconds, we're going to broadcast, and then you're going to call the meeting, and then we'll be able to do
All right.
camera feeds in the room.
Okay.
We're gonna see it here on these screens? Okay.
All right, Mr. Chair, the floor is yours.
All right. Call the November Heritage Preservation Commission meeting to order here. We'll do a roll call. This is a first. We got a hybrid meeting here, so we got 2 in the council chambers, and the rest of us are doing it via Zoom. But I'm here. We could go around the horn and say who's here. Margaret's here.
Yeah.
John?
Yep.
Bob?
Yes.
In the council chambers is Richard, and
Yeah.
our new member, who's our, we got a new member, right?
Jason DeMoe is here.
Mo. Okay. Well,
Present and accounted for.
Okay, good. Oh, there he is. There he is.
Yep.
Okay. So that's good. It's always a good thing. Do approval of the agenda. If everybody take a quick look at their agenda and see if there's any changes. I don't see any myself, but if anybody sees something that needs to be changed, let me know. Any changes? Or is there a motion to approve the agenda as submitted?
I move.
Okay, Margaret moves to approve the agenda. Is there a second?
I'll second.
John second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Moving on to C, approval of minutes. I have the minutes in front of me.
Mr. Chair, members, the minutes did not get attached. That was a clerical error on my part, so we will be able to do approvals of October and November at our December meeting. My apologies for that.
Oh, that's okay. Table the minutes to the next meeting. Moving on, D1, we're really moving along here. New commission member update. Jason, tell us about yourself.
What do you want to know?
Why do you want to be on the commission?
Well, I spent the first 10 years of my professional career, so to speak, working as a small town journalist in first Osceola, Wisconsin, then Forest Lake, Minnesota. And when you work for a small newspaper, you don't have any choice but to get involved in pretty much every aspect of the community because there's not somebody to cover each different subject. You're kind of doing it all. And through that, I realized that I really like serving, and I really like volunteering, and I really like being a part of a community that I live in. And eventually, I got laid off from the newspaper in Forest Lake, and I took a job at Cisco Asian Foods in St. Paul, where I currently work. Moved to Maplewood because it was a very short drive, and I hate driving in the wintertime. And I was going to work, coming home, wash, rinse, repeat. Didn't feel very fulfilled, so decided to get involved in the community. Joined Lions Club, signed up to be a part of this committee. Was an election judge this year, and tomorrow I will be ringing bells for the Salvation Army at Cub Foods. So that's kind of what brought me here. Excited to be a part of this group and learn about what makes Maplewood breathe and move and exist, and that's pretty much my story.
Great. Which Cub Foods are you going to be at? The one on Wayfair? Or
Yep.
The one
White Bear, yeah. From 5 to 7, so if you stop by,
Okay.
bring your money.
Okay. Well, that's good. Well, we'll have to get you a copy of the Lost City of Gladstone somehow.
I would love it.
Have you already got it?
No, but I would love it.
Okay, I got one for you.
Great.
I'll get it to you.
Sounds good.
Pete, we also, I hope they have the oath of office for Jason.
Sorry, go ahead. I missed that.
We have, doesn't he have to take the oath of office for the historic preservation like we all did?
Possibly. It's been a while since we've had a new member, so what shall we do? Staff? Mike?
Members, Mr. Chair, members, I was not aware of the oath of office for HPC, so I will try to find one that from the staff folder that was left. And if you're comfortable, Jason, with waiting a month until being sworn in and deputized and all of the other good things that go with HPC, if you're willing to wait a month, we'll make it a formal session, and you'll
Sounds
be able to
good.
raise your right hand and do all the good things that we'll do. I didn't know there was one.
I could wait a month. That's fine by me.
Thank you.
You do realize it's a lifetime appointment, James.
The other thing that staff may want to forward to them is our Maplewood Historic Contact catalog.
Oh, contact.
Yep.
Yep.
Sure.
Anything would probably help if he wants to read up. Sounds like you have writing in your blood, Jason.
Yeah, did it for quite a few years. I'm definitely all about it.
Okay, I know that either our commission or the Historical Society would definitely love some help with writing sometime.
Well, I would definitely love to help, so sounds like a
Yeah.
good fit.
That's good. It's unfortunate we don't have a little small-town newspaper anymore for Maplewood. It just
Right.
closed in September.
Right, yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, Lily Papers, it's really sad that they shut down.
Right.
Because they would have definitely, if you wanted to write some history articles, they were always very receptive
Yeah.
to people submitting things. It's always kind of fun. Do you have any, Jason, do you have any things you'd like to see done with the commission, things to work on?
Not currently. I'm just kind of ready to dive in and see what this is all about, and I'm sure that I'll come up with a million questions as we move forward.
All right. Yeah, feel free to reach out to any of the commissioners if you have questions. There's a lot of history in Maplewood, so a lot going on actually this past year or two too. So, does anybody have any questions for Jason? As long as we have the introductions there. I mean, I know. I guess we can go around and introduce ourselves to Jason. He might not know all of us. I mean, obviously you can see my name on the screen there.
Sure.
I'm Pete Boulay, obviously the chair. I've been part of the Historical Society Commission more or less since they created it, and we dabbled a bit in writing history for the city, and kind of got the Historical Society off the ground a while back, and they're very active. So if you had a chance to go to the barn yet, or the farm?
I've been out there, yep.
Okay, good. So you got some idea. So I guess we'll go into Margaret.
Yeah.
Hi.
My name's Margaret Fett. I'm originally from Iowa, and I have enjoyed being on this group, I guess, for a while. The only thing I can give you for advice is make sure you get a good sense of humor, because we do like to laugh, and everybody on this commission is very positive, and that's important for us here in the city of Maplewood to be positive about and promote the city that we live in.
It's good to hear. Thank you.
John, you're just green, not in any order.
I'm a 30-year resident of Maplewood. Been on the commission probably for about, I'm guessing, 5, 6 years. And my I have a local business, I'm an architect, I have a business in Maplewood. That's it.
Thanks, John. Bob, Mr. Carter.
Hey, Jason.
Hello,
Hey, glad to have you.
glad to be here.
All right.
He doesn't-
I think I've seen you before. I don't know where, maybe at the farm.
It's possible.
So make yourself frequent out there. You're going to enjoy it. Did you grow up on a farm in Osseo or where?
I grew up in Colfax, Wisconsin, not on a farm, right in town, but it only had 1,000 people in the town, so you felt like you were on a farm most of the time.
Okay. Good.
Jason?
Osceola, isn't that about the center of the state, or where is that?
It's right across the Minnesota border. It's
Oh, it is.
It's in Wisconsin, but it's literally right on the border.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, congratulations. You'll love it.
Hey, Jason?
Yes.
This is Mark, and I just wondered, you said you lived in Colfax?
I grew up there, yeah. I lived there for 19 years.
Well, my son just took a position in management at Village Ranch, which is a business there, and I can testify you have to be really good because Tim said everybody that he's met in that town is just super. So,
Well, there you go. Glad to hear it.
Good foods there.
My mother still manages the gas station there in town, so he'll have to stop by, yeah. Express Mart.
One business in the city, huh?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
How far in Wisconsin is Colfax?
It's by Menominee Eau Claire, if you know where that is.
Yep.
It's their claim to fame is that they're halfway between the equator and the North Pole, I think it is. I don't know. There's a big fancy sign when you drive into town.
45 barrel.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
And we are too. We are too.
Nice.
Yep.
Just,
If you go over to the
very
61
similar to
bridge,
top of Rose Lawn and 61 in that park there. Used to be a big boulder there marking it. So you're equal there.
Sounds good.
Richard.
yes. Hi, Jason, I'm the vice chair of this nice committee, almost the watchdog of the internet to make sure everything is up running. That's why I didn't catch it until almost Tuesday, and I knew Wednesday was a vacation. But I've been here 67 years and plan to be here for eternity.
There you go.
They're just going to move me across the street.
It's a lofty goal.
He lives across the street from the cemetery, so he's really not going anywhere.
Welcome
Mike, you
aboard.
should probably give a little background on you too.
Sure. So, Jason, I'm Mike Sable. I'm the Assistant City Manager and HR Director, and about 6 months ago was named the staff liaison to this group. And so there was a staff changeover, and no pun intended, I don't have the history that a lot of other folks do. So there's some files and things that I didn't know there was an oath of office. So I'm learning as we go, and I appreciate the patience. But this group is, I think you're joining at a really good time because we're going to start the 2021 with our own kind of strategic work plan, and so you'll be able to help shape that and create that, and then that'll set the work for 21 and beyond. A couple of the things that I think happen every year. One is obviously making sure that doing historical reviews of historically significant properties, making sure that whenever our friends at Ramsey County do some construction, that they follow appropriate protocols, which sometimes happens and sometimes doesn't. We do also give out an award every year. So we try to identify and honor somebody in the community who's done something significant to preserve the history of the city of Maplewood. And so that's one of the big pieces. And then I think one of the interesting things that we're, and Joe Sheeran was on the call and he dropped out, he's another staff member, trying to do a little bit of living history, more recent, maybe, as you know, the city of Maplewood has a high concentration of Hmong and Karen community members. And so if you can start to document, it's a mix of really old history, some recent history, honoring people for their contributions, and then, whatever kind of comes our way. And so this is one of these, we discovered there was a park. It's the smallest park in Maplewood. It's a fifth of an acre and had never been recognized before. And so this group sort of said, well, why don't we put together a little commemoration of this site, of a little bit of history. And so the will of the group will drive the workload. It's just about, how do we coordinate it and how do we do the work. So we will make of it what we will, but we'll do it together.
Great. It sounds very exciting.
Pete, how did I do? Was that
That was good.
I'm learning.
Yeah, the oral history project, one thing I'll have to give to the city if they don't have it yet is the Mounts Park Academy did an oral history poll. It's from 30 years ago, but they did a good job reaching out to various people in the community, old timers and newcomers, and it might serve as a good template of what could be done. It was done as a school project, so they did a good job. But that's one thing that could, the society has a copy and I got a copy, so something that I could drop off so you guys can take a look at it. Okay, so we'll move on to E1, unfinished business. We have the Ramsey County Pork Farm barn. That was done before. Do you have any slide on it, or what do we have?
We don't have a slide, but John, I know you had spoken with some of the folks from Ramsey County, and I think you had gone out there and had some email conversations. Are you willing to kind of share what you learned?
I just went out there and took a look at what the door was and stuff like that. And the door to me looked like it was only an exit door because it didn't have hardware on the outside. So it was probably just an egress door. I wasn't inside, but my guess it would have panic hardware on it. It was a 36-inch wide metal door, probably insulated. And all the other doors in the place were all painted one color, the same color. So I feel like unless we knew what color the original door was, we might as well paint it all the same as, probably should be painted the same as all the rest of the doors.
Did they paint yet? Were they going to paint some base color for the winter?
I haven't been around there with it.
Pete,
I've seen it from far, so I don't know what it looks like right now.
Pete, from what I heard or took in the last meeting, they were gonna paint it the same as the windows. And right now, when you go by it, it looks like somebody took a hammer and hit your thumb. Because the paint doesn't match anything that's on the building.
Is the window color the same as the other door colors?
I thought so.
Okay. Well, I guess that's one thing we could recommend is, sounds like a good idea to match the window and the door trim of the other doors. And I can understand too, it's a little cold to put a good coat of paint that's permanent right now. So they'd have to wait till
Spring.
comes back. So.
The other thing, Pete, I didn't say nothing when they were here, but when I went up there, they had that ramp or the stairway sitting there, and it didn't look like it was deteriorated at all. It was all in one piece. If it was dilapidated, it would have been in pieces. They had it all in one piece, like all they had to do was stick it back up there.
Did they save it or get rid of it?
I have no idea what they did with it, but when I was up there, it was all in one piece.
When I went up there, I didn't see it, but I guess one other thing that should be brought up is, I probably should have asked them this question too, is what were they going to do with the doors on the second floor, I guess? Did they do anything with those? I mean, obviously you can't use them as a door anymore.
No,
No, they're just like, they just painted out,
Okay.
like all the other doors.
Oh, okay. Did we make a recommendation last meeting to tell them what color, or we were going to decide tonight? Is that what we're going to do? Mike, remember?
We were going to make a recommendation.
Okay. I mean, some somebody wants to make a recommendation for matching the trim, I think that's where we're headed here. We can at least going in the color.
Recommendation to paint the door and the area around it the same as the rest of the doors?
Okay, John made a motion to paint the door like the other doors in the trim. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, Margaret, second. Any other discussion? I can't remember if there was anything else about it.
No, the only,
Doors are panel doors.
Okay.
This is a flush door, but I
Oh.
don't think they want people to know it's a door,
Okay.
because it's only an exit.
the other thing, Pete, that I brought up last time, according to the standards and all that from the Department of Interior, they're supposed to follow and bring everything up to code to handicapped accessibility.
How does that apply for like an emergency exit, like of what this sounds? Is it supposed to be a main entrance, I'm guessing, for what it sounds, John, is a one-way door, right?
Well, they only have
Because
one,
there's no hardware, so you can't open it from the outside. There's no knobs or anything on it. So
There's like a-
the two entry doors, they have one to the east and one to the west. And those are handicap accessible.
Yeah.
And they're marked as being handicap accessible.
Okay.
but then my question would be on the north side, on the to go upstairs, they got the steel steps. Are they gonna take those down?
I don't know. That'd be something we could ask the county, though.
Because it won't be handicap accessible. That building should have two exits out.
You mean the second floor wouldn't be?
Right. Well, they claim they're not gonna use it, but I can't believe it.
Well, I guess what we could do is if we wind up approving the color, we could add a note asking what is the intention of the second floor. See if they have what their plan is. I don't know. I don't know what it is.
I do, the other thing too, Pete, I do have the paperwork for that, standards for reconstruction and guidelines for all that for historic buildings here. If, Mike wants to take it and make copies so that we all should have it so we know what we're talking about.
Yeah, good idea. I'm hoping to go to the fair next year and get a good look at the barn again. That's usually my chance to go inside the barn, because usually there's something going on inside of it. So I'm curious to see the fair next year, what it all is gonna look like when they get it done. What they wind up doing in there, I don't know. I guess we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor of recommending the color that was decided, I guess the match, we don't know the exact color, but we know what it should look like, I guess. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? I don't see any opposes. Mike, is that something you could send to the county then? And ask them what about the stairwell on the north side, and then if there's any they can give us about what their plans are for the upstairs, I guess.
Yep, I've got three things. I've got the paint color, the stairs, and then the future of the second floor. What's their plan?
Yeah, I'm curious to what if they have any. Since there's no more Fright Farm, what's the plan? I don't know. Maybe they have one of those 2030 plans for the campus. You know, it'd be nice to know if they have something like that, and maybe we'll learn more about what's going on there in general too. So, okay, going on to E2 Rush Line BRT. We added an attachment that was sent to us, and I don't know if everybody got a chance to look at it. Probably the meat of the attachment, though, is the list of properties that would be affected in Maplewood, with the rush line. Mike, did you want to give a recap of that?
Well, I'm just trying to sit here, and I've made you the ability to do a co-host, so we can either sort of share the document and kind of go through it, or just see if the members had questions for clarity, or if they had an opportunity to review it, if there's anything that they would, if the members want to talk about. So I guess I will defer to the group right now, but either you can share or I can share. We both have capabilities.
If you could share I guess it'd be, see, when I printed it out, I'm sure that my page numbers are not right. It's the part where it has the table 1. That's probably the pertinent part that we would want to know. So there's an area in there that includes the what's in Maplewood. Is that able to share? Let's see.
I'm pulling it up, and give me just a second.
But that probably wouldn't quite do it. It can hold up the document, but otherwise I can try to zoom into it.
Well, you're talking about the White Bear or Railroad Corridor History District.
Yeah.
They have adverse effect on most of the stuff in Maplewood, and no effect on other parts. When I called Mark Coop down at the state, he said if we could get the county to Mike Coop.
Michael Coop?
Yep.
Yeah.
He said that stretch of Bruce Vettel Trail could go on the National Registry, but we'd have to have the county give us their okay, and there would be more surveying or archaeological digs or what have you, has to go along that whole stretch, and we could get money from the fund that they got set up, a grant.
Yes.
Money.
I know Bob Jensen was mentioning this too. One thing he mentioned was eventually, when it gets farther down the road, is replacing the Gladstone bulletin board. Even though it's it's a replica of what used to be there. Yep, this is the important part here. So what I'm reading into what they're saying here is that the old LS&M, so what LS&M means is Lake Superior and Mississippi Railroad bed, and what that means is in 1868 they started the grading between St. Paul and Duluth, and it took them a long time to get through to Duluth. It took them a couple of years, and the first segment, I know they completed to like White Bear in like 1868, and that's what they're talking about here. And Bob Jensen, and I've taken a look too, and you can really see where the original alignment is, because they really straightened it out over the years, but the original alignment would kind of curve back and forth. So what they're saying here is there's some kind of adverse effect, and I don't know what the extent is. I'm not exactly sure if it's going to be obliterated or just kind of effective. That's what I'm not quite sure about here.
Which specific line item are we?
We're on
Rush line BRT,
Rush line.
item number 2.
No, I see that. I'm just, which property name are we?
Oh, I'm sorry. It is this section right here. That's highlighted.
Okay, all right, now I see it.
Yep, sorry.
Yeah, sorry about that. So yeah, I suppose people should get up to speed a little bit. This has obviously been in the works a long time. They're going through, the inventory right now. It's still in the discussion mode where you could still submit comments. If you read through it, you'll see the date where the deadline of the comments would be. And so the historical properties that would be affected in Maplewood are kind of in part of the Gladstone shops. obviously, they're not gonna be impacted, they're pretty far, I mean, it's not even close, really. Moose Lodge, I don't know, that's another story. But the Weaver School, so the 1868 bed is very close to the Weaver School, but it's closer to the trail. So the school itself won't be affected, but the property would be. So that's part of what's going on there. So I'm not exactly clear on what we can do, but I think, the Maplewood Historical Society is aware of what could be impacted. So what could be surveyed, or what are they going to do on that? I'm not sure. How much will it be? Will it totally obliterate the old bed or not? I don't know. It's definitely going to be a pretty wide footprint because the bus line has got to be big enough for the buses and a bike trail. So they're basically going to be two things, the bus and bike trail, and I'm sure there'll be some kind of separator between them. So the footprint will be pretty good size. So that's why they're thinking some of this will be obliterated, and they got to build bridges and things like that too. So
Yeah, but Pete,
yes, I hear something.
this is Rick.
Rick.
They're gonna build this, when they put the trail in, all they did is basically put a little bit of class 5 and put the blacktop down. They didn't disturb the grading of the rail bed. With this bus system, they're gonna regrade all that so they get their lanes in and the trail in, so there's not gonna be nothing left of anything there. All you're gonna see is like another freeway going through Maplewood.
Yep, it'll be definitely a bigger footprint than what's there now. You're right.
And we are supposed to be here to protect the history and what it looks like, and it sounds like everybody, let them do it.
So what we got to do is, if we have some comments to submit, we can. So I'd have to look it over a little closer to know exactly how we can sit. And I mean, I've already submitted comments and concerns, not necessarily on the 1868 bed, but more on what's not on the list. I didn't see it on there. Is the depot privy sites. Did I miss it? Is it on there and I missed it?
The other thing, Pete, the last couple of meetings, I've been trying to put a motion in to have a letter sent to the county and what have you to do these extended investigations, as you want to call it, of that rail line. And apparently you haven't heard me to get staff or somebody to say that we want to get some more studies on the history part of it, what's in the ground.
Okay. Well, we certainly have our opportunity here to provide comments on expanding studies. It's on the page 4 or 5. If you got it there, Richard?
Yeah.
Okay.
The next step is the 24th, Tuesday, the 24th of 2020.
Yes, I gotta get. Yeah, there you go. So here's our chance to say something. So Richard, what would you like the letter to say?
Well, first we got to get, because of our ordinance, where we made our ordinance, the county would have to come to us to give us permission to have these studies done.
So, Mr. Chair, members, this is Mike Sable. The Section 106 review that was conducted is what the study is the study that would have been ordered, and so this is they're meeting the requirement as set forth in state statute. by doing this work.
Well, Mike Coop, when I talked to him, he says it's got to be a little bit more extensive. He didn't have anything really down there when I did talk to him.
Did Mike mention if any of the other groups listed on the last page there, are they doing anything?
Not that I'm aware of. We only talked about the section of Maplewood here. And with this virus and everybody working from home, it's like everybody's in disconnect.
I'm just trying to think of how we can proceed with something here. I mean, if we do anything, we should work with the society. I've sat on the calls before, and it's very helpful to have society and commission on the calls. It's something, like I came to it late because I wasn't the main contact for this for the last couple of years, so I'm still kind of behind. But I did get Bob Jensen added to the list, so now he's part of the group. For up until the last meeting, the society wasn't getting any of these, so they're now included. So that's good. I wish, if there wasn't COVID, we'd have a bigger meeting and I could network with some of these other groups and see what they're doing. I mean, it'd be better to do it all together and not do it piecemeal, because we'd have more kind of voice if we can get together.
Well, Pete, I hate to interrupt again, but even this list of ones that they have had on here, we're way down, and your name is on it before. Yeah, but I mean, it should have been when they started almost.
The biggest problem I have with this is with a lot of these things are done during business hours. And if you have an 9 to 5 job, these meetings are very hard to do. That's why I couldn't be part of it for a long time, and I'm still kind of struggling a bit with it. I mean, I'm glad I sat in the last call because I learned a lot. And then I was able to once I got on that call, I realized the society wasn't on it. I didn't even know they weren't on it. So I said, well, you got to put the society on it too. And then even White Bear Lake Historical Society was pretty new to the group too. So some of these people are just being brought in now, so we're kind of playing catch up. I would like, we definitely got to respond to this somehow. And
Maybe that's how we have to word this thing, is that they should have, now that you brought the commissions and some of the societies in here, this should have been done prior to, and it's going to have to come from the city that they want more input than what they're doing or what we're getting, not at the last second.
If we submit something, does it come through you or would it come through me? Or does it matter?
Well, you would ultimately what you would be doing is you would be making a recommendation to the city council to send, because this is an advisory body to the city council.
Right.
Okay.
The city council can choose to do nothing with the recommendation, but if you're interested in putting forward a recommendation to slow down the historic review of these properties, that's a broader conversation that needs to happen with the governing body.
And it's funny, what I was most concerned about isn't even on the list. So I had more concerns about how they excavated the privies and their findings there. I didn't want that to be obliterated and no longer be able to be checked out after they're done. But I think I could definitely come up with something. We kind of have to be in a hurry, don't we? Because the city would have to review it. So when would it have to be due to the city council by?
The next city council meeting is November 13th, and the next meeting after that, I believe, is December. What's the second Tuesday in December? I can't think of the date off the top of my head. Yeah.
we're almost gonna have to have something to the council to review this before the 24th, so they can get their paperwork to powers to be here.
The meeting is December 14th.
December 14th? Okay, is that too late if it's December? I mean, November 13th,
What is the cutoff for us to submit comments?
good question.
Is there a hard date on that, or what?
There's a meeting on Tuesday, November 24th from 1 to 3 p.m. The purpose of that meeting is to review the final determination of effects and prepare the parties to develop a memorandum of agreement. FTA has requested that the State Historic Preservation Society, or the SHPO is the acronym, provide comments by January 8th, 2021.
Okay,
Okay.
so we have a little time.
Correct.
So,
A week to get the final, you gotta go on the 24th. And then they have until January to get it to them, or
that's part of the.
Final.
This is, it's during working hours, all of the.
But Pete, remember what I told you earlier?
Yes?
We make recommendations. Everybody else, they can follow it or they can kick it in the you-know-where and leave it.
Yeah, well, I would like to have a pretty good crafted letter somehow. I might tap into my fellow commissioners on this one. Is there something I could do as a draft, and then Mike, could we,
But the city staff might have more
trying to think here.
legal,
We could
Words
have
to
her ready
come
by
out
the
through.
next commission meeting, perhaps. Would that give us enough time? Let me look here. Next commission meeting would be when, the 10th?
10th of December.
And then, the city council meeting is the 14th? That enough?
The window of time is clear. Yes.
Yeah. Well, we could have some kind of letter, and I'm not exactly sure. I guess I will try to sit in on that meeting, and if I can, I might tap into one of my fellow commissioners to sit in on that meeting on the 24th, 1 to 3, because because the value of those meetings is hearing what the other commissions are doing and the other historical societies. So I'll talk to Bob Jensen too. He's on the list, so we'll see what he says too. So if anybody's got thoughts, draft it. If anybody's has any background in writing, might need some assistance.
Oh, it's gonna be a virtual, so it'll be on the computer.
Oh, well, sure. And that's fine. My main question is, what do they mean by adverse effect? I gotta find more.
Right.
That.
I think we need more detail on that. But I do agree with you that I think it's extremely important that we have something written that we can submit to make sure that our voice on this is heard.
Okay. And I want to make sure the society might already be ahead of us on this one, so,
That is possible, yeah.
yeah, I'll talk to them.
Mr. Chair, on the password and the state's FTP site, they gave you a login and a password,
Yeah.
has the full effects of report. I'm not able to access it right now, but I mean, so if you wanted to do a deeper dive of what those adverse impacts are on that site, they do have a fairly sizable report with the full information. I tried to pull it up on my computer and couldn't. I suspect you'll be able to have it if you were to log into that.
Okay, I'll check that out. Oh, that's good to know. I wasn't sure what they would have. If they got more on it, take a look. All right, I guess I got some homework. And I don't know, I guess I'll bring it to the next commission meeting. We can vote on whether or not we like it or not. How's that for everybody?
Sounds good.
I'll move the motion.
Motion to prepare a letter?
Right,
Motion to make you do more work?
right.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
All of the above.
yeah. Okay. Not exactly sure what it'll say, but,
Now, do we have a second?
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. But, now this is just a letter about, I'm not making this letter to put it on the National Register, Richard. This is
No,
a
no.
response to.
The thing is, Pete, the SHPO is in charge of putting it to the National Registry. We can put it on our historic places of interest or what have you. SHPO is the one that puts everything on National Registry. They do all the other work.
Okay,
That's how Mike explained it to me.
all right. Okay. Any more questions about the brush line? All right. Moving on to E2, or E3. Parking and signage at the farm, update with the conversation from Mike Erickson. Staff.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. So I happen to serve on a task force unrelated to this with Mike Erickson, and I said, I need your help in understanding this issue with regard to the signage. And if folks remember, this is they installed a sign, and I don't even know what the sign says specifically because I still haven't seen it, but there was a question about whether or not a post or a gate was the appropriate traffic blocking mechanism, right? Something to tell people to not enter. In my conversation with Mike Erickson, he said they thought the sign worked fine. It solves the problems that they just didn't want people to drive into the courtyard. It works for them. They're not really interested in making any changes. And they don't have any money to make any installation changes anyway. So they're happy with the solution that they came up with. If this group wants to make some sort of broader change, we would need to, A, get their permission, B, do some fundraising for installing some kind of different traffic control measure, and then have to do the work. So if there's an interest in doing that, we have to solve for those three things. But in my conversation with Mike Erickson, he's happy with the way it works. It was a sign to keep people from driving in. They don't think that there needs to be any changes, and that's kind of his perspective.
Okay. On that, Mike, when they came to the commission here on that, before they put that in, we made the motion that they had to put a post or gate somewhere on there so they can't just drive through. The sign, they can have all the signs they want, but how many people read signs? If you go on 36 coming off to 61, they got a sign, do not cross over to B, and everybody does. So they don't read. They want to do it, they're going to do it. But that's how that sidewalk motion got passed here, either a gate or a post there.
I was wondering if they could put like one of those, I don't even know what they're called, but like a portable thing, when they have events, just put it right in the middle so nobody can drive through there. My concern for a permanent post was they got to snowplow it, and I don't think they want to mess with trying to unlock a post or move a post during snowplowing, and
Well, after thinking about it, Pete, I don't agree with the post either. It would be like a half gate like they have at Keller going out on the island where they can swing them open and the plows can go through and close them. And people can still walk through without opening and shutting the gate.
yeah, I don't think a gate would look good out there if it's what you're thinking of, like at the Keller Island. And they still have that thing locked with a lock, Keller. So, I mean, if it's working for them, I don't see any problem. They can spend their money on other things if they need it. So, I mean, if driving in there's a problem, they could come up with something temporary they could just put there in the summer and then take it down in the winter. I'm just worried about, getting sheared off or having them to mess with anything in the winter to get in there. And I know they have to come in there to plow, so.
Yeah. Well, it basically wasn't people coming to the event, it was workers that they have there that rolled through it.
I have a newbie question.
Yeah.
What authority do we have here? Can we just suggest, or can we actually tell them to do something and they have to or should, or, I guess I don't know.
I think the short answer is we don't have any authority to tell them what to do.
So we just suggest strongly that they do A, B, or C, and hopefully we can work together and come up with a suitable, okay.
Yeah.
Get the moose livestock on wheels, put it right in the drive, you can push it off to the side of the snowplow.
Something I was thinking like that, if their driving is a problem there, then they could have something they can move. It doesn't matter what it is. I took a look at the Moose Lodge sign. There's a reason why they left it there.
Oh, I didn't get that.
Pretty rough. It is pretty rough. I was surprised. I got excited too when I saw it from far away. I was like, "Oh, this is pretty nice." And I look at it, I go, "Oh yeah, that's why they left it there." It's kind of, it would need a fixer-upper. Let's put it that way. Okay, is there any more on that? Moving on to E4, lookout park sign update. Yeah, don't say it.
So the sign has been printed, and it's a really nice. It's probably a 3 foot by 2 foot or a 4 foot by 4 foot high, 2 foot wide sign. The post is going in. We were waiting for the crews to finish up a couple of park improvement projects, so we've got it. It's got the whole Bob Jensen story. It's got the little map. It actually looks really great. There was a local printer, was able to do it for under $300. It's a really nice commemorative piece.
You didn't bring it down with you?
I actually have it in the office. The crew wanted me to leave it, so if you want me to go run and grab it, I can show you what it looks like. I think it looks really great. It's going to look like a nice little commemorative spot, and like I said, it's a fifth of an acre piece of parcel that just grass that people don't really know what it is, but it's really one of the original parks, and so we wanted to do some work. So if folks want that, I can run and quick grab it in the office while you guys talk about the next thing, but it will be installed next week.
Did we, or are we planning to have any sort of a commemorative event or ribbon cutting or nothing like that?
We are gonna wait until it gets nice again.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
We'll deliver some
makes sense.
some warm weather.
They don't like to dress up in Eskimo pants and clothes.
So at some point, the plan is to do a thing. Got it.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
There.
Yes, Bob.
I think Jason's onto something. We should make the most of that. The smallest park, it's probably the smallest park in all. So, and just have a gathering, and then make it a big event for Maplewood to put Maplewood on the map. That
The
is,
smallest park? You raise a good point, Bob. I don't know if there's a list of smallest park,
I do have a connection at the Pie Press, so maybe we could get a article out of it. Who knows?
that'd be great.
That'd be fun.
Smallest
Yeah, it's
park
got a
with the
fun
most people.
story. Huh?
Pack the people in the smallest park with the most people.
There you go. Good job.
Here's the sign, guys.
Maybe in a few months. Oh, there it is. Look at that.
Very nice.
That is very nice, yeah.
That is nice.
Yeah.
I really like it. Really sturdy. I'll definitely go drive over there and look at it when it's installed. Let us know, Mike, when it's put in, because I'd like to see it. Now, John doesn't drive by there every day anymore, so.
No,
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Bob.
I think we should ask Mike to hold off on that, and then we have an event, and then, bring it out there and get a photo, like John said, of as many people in there as possible. That would be fabulous.
I think we've waited so long for this to be in there. I say, get it in there. We can do a mock unveiling, at another, we gotta get this thing in there. This has been too long. I want that sign up.
We could cover the sign with a sheet and then just pull the sheet off.
Yeah, we'll put a sheet on it.
Yeah.
Cover.
Yeah, I'm really pleased with the way it turned out. It's sturdy and it's going to look really great. And I'm surprised. I'm sort of shocked and happy at how well it came together. So it's really nice.
Where
That'll be fun.
where exactly is this? And is it just a fifth of an acre green space?
About 100 yards east of Phelan Lake.
Okay.
Sophie and Ripley?
Ripley's on Ripley.
Is that Ripley? Okay, Sophia, Ripley area, yeah.
Sure.
Ripley and Sophie are,
Shaped like a triangle.
You sure that's not Edward? I think
That
it's,
could be Edward.
yeah.
What's funny is I'm surprised it's as big as a fifth of an acre. That's generous fifth of an acre.
that's because they couldn't figure out which way the road was gonna go.
Yeah. It was always parked though. It's been a park over 100 years, so that's good. Yeah. Okay, good. Well, if we like that sign, it's good feedback. We might think of that as a template for the future, if we do more things like that.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, some other odd things in Maplewood, it'd be kind of fun to do something like that. Moving on to F1, Maplewood Area Historical Society update. Bob, are you gonna take that one, or?
Well, let's see, we really don't have any events now through the end of the year,
Okay.
so.
How was did you guys do a second barn sale in October?
Yeah, October 4th.
And we already reviewed that, I think, right?
That was very good, very successful. Good weather.
Well.
How did that play go?
The play was good. The play was well attended. About half of them were sold out, but the weather turned bad, and we couldn't do too many hay rides. The weather was so bad. But a lot of pumpkins got painted, and people got treats, and it was well attended. It was live. I mean, that's something. So we'll continue with that at the farm.
Next year, do you know what's coming up next year?
Yeah, we're gonna try and get that on Highway 61 play presented. And we're gonna try and get some grants to help pay for that and then work it out. So that'd be coming in like July.
Okay. Well, that'll be neat. Highway 61's got such a history through Maplewood.
Right.
So, yeah, that'll be really neat. I'd like to see that. Trying to think of anything else. I suppose you guys running your everybody pay their dues next year. I'm guessing that's coming up. There was some restructuring of dues for this society, right? So if you haven't paid your dues, you can always join up now, I guess. Is that right? January?
Yeah.
We get the mailing, so. And Bob Jensen's done an outstanding job on those newsletters, of course, the stories. He's done some really good ones. The one on the Moose Lodge, I still was one of my favorites. They did a great job, doing some historical sleuthing on that one.
And the other thing I saw on Facebook, Ann Hutchinson from the Nature Center brought over a bunch of stuff from there to the farm. Bob Jensen took it in.
Well, good. They had a nice write-up in the Maplewood City newsletter on Ann. If you had a chance to see that, it's good to see that too. That was a good write-up. Okay, the only other thing I have, I didn't have anything down for commission presentations, but one thing I'll throw out there is time to start thinking of the next Maplewood Award for 2021 in December. I know Margaret started laughing already, so look how quickly it comes. So start thinking of nominations. It's never too early. I promise you that we won't wait as long as we did this time, so.
Say, Pete, is it our one, actually for 2019, and then,
Yes.
so we have 2020 to vote in and 2021?
Oh, no, it's just 1 year at a time. We'll stick with
Well,
2020 for now.
Yeah, but we're already a year behind.
But yeah, we gotta take it 1 year at a time. It takes us almost a year to decide, so if we do 2 years, we'll never make it, so. I just looked at the calendar, I go in December, that's when we usually start thinking about the awards, so, started thinking, I guess,
So, Mr. Chair, Jason, for your benefit, members will nominate a person in the community to win the Heritage Preservation Award to honor their service. With COVID, we got behind, and so we are now off a year. And then we're waiting to do in-person council meetings so we could give the new recipient the award in person. And so this was, on Monday was our first in-person city council meeting since March. And this is my first in-person HPC meeting ever. So this is, we're learning and adapting as we go. So you should really honor and thank somebody. This is your kind of invitation to start making friends and start thinking about who would be a good recipient and why. And hopefully it doesn't take us another year to find another candidate. So I do have a question for Bob Cardinal. Bob, do you have contact information for Gary that now that we're in person, I can reach out and schedule him to receive the award?
Yes, I'll call you tomorrow.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
great. Let us know if he's coming to a future meeting.
Yeah, we'll schedule it. We'll make sure we'll coordinate so we can have up to 15 people in the council chambers currently in the audience. So it'd be nice to we can have a true full house.
Okay, very good. Does anybody have any other comments from the commissioners? Let's ramble on about history for the next hour. Trying to think of anything else coming up, but
Staff presentations.
somebody have something?
Staff presentations.
Oh yeah, staff presentation. H.
So Joe Sheeran, if you're on the line, can you unmute? Is that possible?
Yes.
Can you, Joe Sheeran and I are working on the sort of living history project, and Joe's done a little bit of outreach and some research. Joe, do you want to kind of share what you learned just in a minute or two?
Yeah, thank you. What I've been doing is reaching out to try to figure out, we've done an awesome job in this staff. Pete Boulay and Bob Cardinal and Bob Jensen have done a great job documenting our history, from the 1800s to the 1950s. What I really think is a great opportunity for us to look at the next part of that, the 1960s on, when we look at Hmong Americans who come to our community, Karen Americans, Hispanic folks, and people from other parts of the migration chain and how they got here. So what I've been doing is reaching out to contacts, folks we know, the Minnesota Historical Society, to do some of that background information, to figure out what census data, what American Community Survey data, what University of Minnesota data is available to chart migration patterns from other parts of the world, other parts of the metro to Maplewood. I have some preliminary fact gathering. I have about 3 or 4 people who have lived in this community since the 1960s who are willing to talk to us about migration. And what I'd really like to do is really, A, dig into the numbers and see the data story, and then B, dig into, or really just talk to people and see the human story so that we could chart out some living history. So Kevin Schmitz and I would be more than willing to document that on camera, on video. It would really be nice to have a partner or a few partners within this committee or within the HPC to help us dig through the data. That's kind of where my knowledge and know-how is limited. I mean, I know the basics, but to have somebody who knows how to look through census data, how to look through SIPI data, how to look through American Community Survey data to help tell that, provide a timeline, and then we could use that timeline and put human faces and human stories to that timeline to kind of catch us up from the 1950s to where we are here in 2021 coming up.
Good idea. You should probably reach out to two, the former city council member.
Yeah, we had a couple of folks. We have a former member of our is a member of the Hmong community who also sat on our police advisory committee. So he's willing to come forward and talk to us. But what I really want to do is, in addition to the human stories, is dig into the data and see what the numbers tell us. So I reached out, just for way of background, I reached out to Met Council, and they've given us some good numbers. I reached out to the Minnesota Demographer's Office, and they've given us a couple of places to look. And I've also reached out to a couple of the Hmong cultural communities, and they've given us. What I really find encouraging is that the University of Minnesota has a really robust database. The only problem is we don't have access to it because we're not either students or faculty. So, Pete, I don't know, with your connections and your position, you can help us access some of those databases. That would be terrific. What I think would be important is, coming up in the next year, let's look at what's available. Let's look at what we as a staff don't have capacity to do, but maybe this commission has a little more capacity. And figure out what we do as a staff, what's feasible for us, and then what as a commission, where you guys can help us fill in some of the research gaps.
That's a great idea. I really like the idea there. It's something I've always been a big fan of, is recent history, but record it before it goes away, kind of thing. So.
And my feeling is we could do a visual, like an internet time, like an online timeline, that where you could kind of go through pieces of the timeline and click on the timeline and a video will pop up, or a visual will pop up, or a graphic will pop up. It would be great to have this as a sort of an interactive piece on our website.
I like it. I'm happy to be part of it. If it's, send me a link of what you're trying to connect to at the U of M, and since I'm kind of affiliated staff there, I can see what I can do.
Yeah, I had sent Mike Sable a 2-pager on the resources we have so far, so we could go, maybe, again, like I said, in the beginning of next year, we could find either yourself, maybe 1 or 2 members of this commission, and we could sit down and see what we have and what's possible.
Okay, good.
Yeah, and if I can just add, this is one of the things that I had a conversation with another staff member today that, there's a lot of foundations and groups that are willing to offer up grants to kind of tell this kind of story, and I thought this would maybe be a kind of a clever way to actually get some resources behind it and actually talk to either some of the local foundations or something, and we could actually sort of make this a bigger deal, and then it's a way to also promote the city of Maplewood and history generally. So it's kind of there's a potential for a couple of tie-ins that I think will be really helpful. So what I'll do, I'll forward you Joe's email that he sent this afternoon, and we can go from there. But I will also just say from a staff's, I know that there's a lot of questions around development and what's happening to certain properties and what's going on. And so there is going to be an EDA meeting in December where they will talk about they're going to actually talk about the Moose Lodge, the future of the Moose Lodge, and there's some of the work. They have a letter of interest on a parcel that they are talking about working with. And then there also, I know that folks had talked about Saints roller rink. That project fell through. They could not secure financing, so Saints, you don't have to go through and take pictures of everything quite yet.
They are open again.
They're skating and opening again, but I do want to, as these development deals go forward, I've talked to Mike Martin and the staff in community development, and we'll be real mindful about getting input ahead of time rather than after the fact, which I know can be frustrating when stuff happens and then you think, and you didn't hear, and you didn't know about it. So, but then nothing else on the development front of concern right now, but we will, I think, one of the things going forward is we'll probably make that a standing agenda item just to go through and review what's in the pipeline and what we're hearing in terms of a rumor mill for future development outside. That said, Menards hopes to start in spring for their new construction, or for their new building. The Menards will come down and a new one will go in its place. And then the Hy-Vee is going in, the old Rainbow Food Store on White Bear and, was it Jarvis there? They are, if you've been by there, there's construction on their gas station convenience store, but also then they hope to have a late spring opening of 2021. So Hy-Vee will be coming in, as will all of the cars that go with it. So that's really good for, it's good for all the businesses, honestly. Anytime that a car drives by your business, it's one more potential customer. So while it's frustrating to drive in, it's good for the business owners. And so we're looking forward to Hy-Vee joining us spring and definitely for summer for 2021.
I see when I went by over on B, they got some, looks like they're going to start tearing the houses, some of the houses down. They got the big dozers and that in there.
Yep, they're ready to get to work.
Are they taking down part of the strip mall to the north then of the Rainbow?
They are not, actually. Their plan is to, liquor is a big part of the Hy-Vee business, and so they will take over one of the stores for their liquor operation, but their grocery footprint is going to stay within the same Rainbow site footprint. So there's not going to be any building renovation of that location. They're just adding the convenience store, coffee shop, gas station towards the street front, and then there'll be a new signalized intersection for folks just, I guess it would be, a block and a half north of Jarvis. There'll be a new signalized intersection.
Oh, okay, all right, okay. We're on the Caribou Coffee.
Yeah, right in front of Caribou.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, that's a long time coming.
Well, it'll go faster than you
Before
think.
the left turns? Yeah, okay. Well, thanks for the update, Mike. That's
Yeah.
good to know. People are excited about things coming in, so it's good to know. Has anybody got anything else? If not, yes,
I'll make for adjournment.
okay. I'll see everybody on December the
10th.
10th.
December 10th.
We'll have to make sure that gets on the webpage.
Okay, Richard made a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Oh, John just barely beat Margaret. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Let's hope for warmer weather here.